Hi. Yeah.
So, this is the inaugural episode of my yet unnamed podcast. And I couldn't think of anybody better to do it with than my bestest friend in the world. My good Judy. The one, the only, spiritual BFF, a.k.a. Sam.
Hey, everybody.
Sam's here. Okay, a little bit of background. Sam's been putting up with my shit since high school. And that's why he's my best friend, among many other reasons. Okay. So, bit of an intro just to the basis of what the podcast is, what I want it to be, really. Sam already knows this, but a refresher won't hurt, right? So, basically, I want this to be a podcast where men, especially black men, and women, especially black women, can come together and talk and feel heard, right? Because I feel like there are gender wars going on, and I don't like that.
Oh, I don't like that.
Okay. I don't like it. Because as a black woman, I love black men. And as a black man, I'm going to just speak for you and assume that you love black women.
Oh, I can't fucking stand them. I hate them. They eat up all the crab legs. That's my one and only reason, but I feel like that's enough.
Like, who gives a fuck if they hold up the black community? I don't give a damn. Just eat up all the crab legs. Anyway, so yeah, long story short, I feel like if there could be a space, a platform, a safe space, where both parties could talk to each other about the issues that they feel like they're having, and also listen to the other side, then we can make a little progress, push the needle a little bit, you know? So, the first subject that we are going to be talking about today is...
I wasn't expecting you to do that like towards the camera. You've been doing your research. I'm just sitting here while you're over here performing.
Professional, huh? That was really just off the top. Okay, so the subject that me and Sam are going to talk about today is the caricature, look it up, of black women by men. And I specifically said by men and not by black men because everybody is jumping on this train. Okay, it's some white ones too that are using black sense, but that's a whole other... Anyway, but the underlying question to that was basically, why is it that black men feel like literally everything is gay except for putting on a pink wig as a motherfucking green highlighter lipstick and doing this baby mama, baby daddy, that's not gay, right? But eating a banana without cutting it up, that's gay. Drinking through a straw, that's gay. The color pink literally just became not gay like a few years back. You remember that?
You would think that because there was like a pre-show to that, because I've been watching all of this stuff. I remember when me and my friends used to dye our hair back in college. It was still gay for black guys to have dyed hair, but then it was like 2 years later it started to be okay. It was when, what's his name, what was the rapper that would have like the patch that was bleached? Because that was a gateway, I noticed. Was it Wiz Khalifa?
I think it was Wiz Khalifa. I am clearly picturing this man's face.
And then everybody started doing it. It was okay for the black men to do it. And then, now we can do whatever we want because of Wiz Khalifa, dying for our sins. allowing us to have bleached hair. Bleached hair for everybody is not gay anymore. Men can do one more thing, and I feel insecure about it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was at around that time too, where around like 2010, 2011, when it came to the entertainment industry in general, it was very colorful and saturated. It wasn't just Nicki Minaj, like it was. It wasn't just, but I was that was the first one I thought about too. But it was the guys too. It was the guys too. The color was everywhere. Like I remember, I'm dating myself here, but I remember when I would buy my entire wardrobe for a semester from Rue 21.
Relatable content.
Let me tell you, I would walk in there with a $100 bill, and I would have clothes for like a year. But I just remember the colors that was in the guys section at around that time. Mm-hmm. The electric blues, especially, is the color that I remember. That was like the color of the summer of 2009 was that electric. Yeah, you remember those skinny jeans I used to wear?
Oh my! Graphic tees was very much a thing.
Yeah,
I remember that.
So I remember color for guys and fashion happening, and then it happened in hair. But you remember real men wear pink? That was in the early 2000s.
Yeah, and that was because of breast cancer. Let me find out breast cancer is the reason.
You had to die. You had to die.
Breast cancer is the reason that men wearing pink is not gay. Wow.
And then, they kind of took it and turned it into something else where it was like shirts like Free the Tatas and all of that,
A little topic that we can get into, but I feel like you have to sexualize things for men to give a fuck. Like, hey, we have this cancer that's going on. It's breast cancer, and there are a lot of breasts.
They ain't gonna be no more titties.
You say breasts? Like, what's wrong with the breasts?
Titties going extinct.
Like, some women have to get their breasts removed. Remove!
Right. It's
Stop
like
using aluminum deodorant.
No more antiperspirant. It's like the titty is a dinosaur and a tumor is an asteroid. And yeah.
Yes.
And when you put it that way, and that there ain't gonna be no more titties if you don't care.
I'm like, oh, nah, man, we gotta do something. They've in the group chat. Hey, did y'all know about this shit called breast cancer? Gotta go. We gotta do something. Like, man, it's March Madness. Man, fuck all that. We gotta do something. They better be extinct.
Wow. Why not you being able to imitate straight guys better than me? Right? And you were with quite a few of them,
With a few of them. But fun fact, the last straight man that I was with, he hated when I did my straight man voice. Because I'd be like,
okay,
like, man, that voice is annoying. I don't sound like that, blah, 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 blah. Which is a perfect segue back to the topic at hand. When I'm imitating a man and you don't like it, you're like, I don't sound like that. Stop doing it. That is my whole point, just in a nutshell, right there. Like, whenever I see these men imitating women.
With the H in the front.
Women. Yes. It's like, who do you know that sounds like that? Now, some people, like the video we watched the other day of the dude, he was doing a skit, and we were like, I know that girl, but there were 3 women that he was imitating in that whole skit, and I could only relate to the one.
And she was a full characterization, though.
Yes, the body
right.
The way she was talking,
even like the facial movement, like the articles of clothing, like I was like, I know her.
Right, and there was thoughts into it, and it wasn't like all of this. It was just very much like, you know that girl that explains stuff with her whole
body. Right.
Everybody, I was like, I know her, but the rest of them, it was like, okay, well, oh no, girl. I'm like, I don't know that girl. And it's like I know who you're trying to depict, but you're missing.
Why? I thought
Horribly. But
depicting.
Yeah, I feel like they always do this overly super stereotypical black woman. And it's just...
It's like a minstrel show for black women.
It's annoying. I'm like...
Female Sambo. Just put a bow on it.
You do it. I mean, if you wasn't black, you might as well be doing blackface. Anyway. It's so annoying. And I think my main issue with it is that it's not accurate. It's not productive. And the only person benefiting from it is the dude. Like, I've seen people go on open restaurants, go to award ceremonies, be in movies, music videos, TV, all of that, making coins. They'll monetize their page, all based on them making fun of black women.
And it's like the gag for me is that we're over here talking about how silly it is, but clearly there's a demand. Like, you get to have an entire career in Hollywood if you do this.
And I think that's what really irks me is I'm over here like, ugh, he over here sitting here making fun of black women, blah, blah, blah. But the thing is, if he's making all this money and blah, 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 somebody is watching it, right?
Somebody's.
Plenty of people are watching it and sharing it. And as bad as I want to say, it's just the white people. Because they ain't never met a black person in their life. So they think this is just how black people act. And they just eating it up. As much as I want to say that, that's not the case.
It's not even close.
It's
not even close.
Top consumers, I don't know if this is a fact or not. I have to look it up. I'm pretty sure it's black women.
Ooh, I just knew you were going to say black men. I was expecting you to say black men and the black women who actually relate to that character.
I was gonna say black women, but I feel like black men like jump on that because they think, oh, I mean, they laughing at it, so I can laugh at it too. Or I feel like at one point when these people like first came out and they were making jokes or whatever, we were like, oh, haha, that was funny, that was cute or whatever, and they was like, oh, y'all like that? Watch this, they kind of like little kids. They'll do something and you're like, oh, good job, baby. And like, oh, watch this, ma. Oh, watch this. You know what I'm saying? And they'll just keep doing it. And then we just like, okay, little nigga, you can go out somewhere. You know what I'm saying? But I like what you said, though. That was a good point.
Because, yes, on one hand, I can say that when it comes to, like, that archetype of like black woman that's being played out, right? I don't know any women that behave like that personally, but I do see them from afar, depending on where I am. But I don't know them.
You know what's crazy? I don't just like go out of my way to hang out with that type of black woman if they're toxic. But if I find myself in a situation like, let's say I work with black women that like acts like that, and we the only two black people there, and I'm talking to her and blah, 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 blah.
They feel a huge void.
Yeah. They very much do. I will say that. But I also want to say, like, I've actually become friends with some people, some women who I thought were like that. But we had, like, no choice but to talk and get to know each other because we work together. And I'm like, damn, I was a little quick to judge you. Like, you kind of cool, girl. You kind of cool. And it's like we formed that relationship, but then again, I'm like, would I hang with her like outside of work? You know, I don't know, but it definitely makes you see like another side to them because I feel like when they're talking to me, they kind of code switch a little bit, a little bit. And it's like, they like, oh, okay, well, I don't have to do all this. Like, I could just talk to you like a normal thing. I don't have to worry about you trying to talk over me. I don't have to worry about you trying to disrespect me. I don't have to worry about you, like, looking at me to be, like, the one not to be fucked with. Because I feel like a lot of people who act like that, they have been disrespected a lot.
So it's a defense mechanism?
Yes, and they feel like, oh, hold on, let me let them know off the rip. We not finna do this. Who I am. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I'm like, you can relax, sis.
Right, because I've had experiences with people who fit into that, and I'm like, wow, you didn't even give me a chance. Yeah. You know, I'm like, you're assuming my intentions and what I'm thinking about you, and now they're right. You know, now they're right, and that's unfortunate. You know, though I will say there have been situations where I'm like, oh, well, you know what? When I accept that aspect of their personality and I look at it as something that it's like, okay, this is due to the circumstances, this is something that's unavoidable. What ends up happening is that there are other facets of their personality that come out that are very interesting. You know, different beliefs or practices that they may have that you wouldn't associate with a stereotype, because there's nothing to associate with the stereotype besides what's packaged with it already, right? That's right. What makes it a stereotype. Yes. But you know, there is something I wanted to ask. There was like a thought that had came up. It's almost like, and I mean, that's the point of it being named this, but it's almost an exclusively male performed type of lane where it's like, when it comes to this character, a black woman, it's a black man that's doing it. The only time I've ever seen a black woman even come close and is memorable is Glozell. And she wasn't even hood or ghetto, but she was a lot, right? And it seemed like she had to work so hard. And I'm like, man, like, it looks like I could see the effort, but with these guys, it seems like it just comes it's like they have been waiting. Yes. They have been waiting for the opportunity to just let this out.
Let it out, child. And then it's like, I feel like they know their audience, because another thing that bothers me about this is whenever I see anybody imitating anybody else, I'm like, this is how that person sees you. I'm like, is this how you see us? Like, if I say something, I'm wondering how accurate it is, right? It's like if I'm sitting here and I'm talking to like my cousin, and they're like, "How was your day, Sienna?" I'm like, "Oh, well, you know, my day was cool, but Lord, my coworkers are getting on my nerves. Oh my goodness, it was just a stressful day. Like, this one girl, she did X, Y, Z, and I just tell them the whole story." I'm like, did you hear me say that in that tone and that inflection?
Or did they hear, today was just off. There was just this girl there that was just doing the most. She was doing the most. And I'm just glad that today is... I mean, it kind of reminds me of when people imitate me. Like, I know that you have to do more to get the point across, but I'm like, damn, am I that rigid? Like, whenever
you are not.
But that is always their go-to. They straighten that back and they turn their entire bodies and they respond slowly.
Like, no, absolutely not.
I don't know, because Justina won. Like,
yeah, I mean, look at the material. There wasn't that many. There was 3 competitors. So, yeah, but she did do a good job. Shout out to you, Justina. Anyway, so it's just like, I'm wondering, I just sat here and calmly told you that I had a bad day at work. I'm frustrated, blah, 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 blah. But it's like, did you hear these motherfuckers at my job is trying it, and they got one more time if I go to HR? Like, I'm like, that's not what I said.
Right, it is not how you said it.
So when I see people imitate it, I'm like, is this really how you see people? Or are you doing this because that's the way other men imitating women have been doing it?
Because it's all the same. It's just the wigs are different. The bright lipstick is different. But it's all the same.
You know what's crazy? Every now and then you have somebody that's original, and I appreciate that.
Like Tony Talk.
Yes! Yeah. I was just going to say, like, Tony Talk. I like Tony Talk. I ain't finna lie to you.
I don't get a sense of disrespect though.
Come on, segue, because I was just finna say. So, this is not me saying that I absolutely can't stand when a man imitates a woman, because that has undertones of homophobia. That's a whole other thing, whole other topic that we could get into, okay? Because a lot of black people, including black women, are very homophobic. That's another subject for another day. But when I say I don't like, or I don't really like these men imitating women, it's because it doesn't seem authentic. Mm-hmm. It seems like they're just literally taking every stereotype about black women that ever existed and combining it into this character. Ones I appreciate and certain ones I don't. And like the world feels the same way. Apparently, like black men, they'll be like okay with Eddie Murphy imitating a black woman, but they got a problem with Tyler Perry doing it. And they'll be okay with Martin Lawrence doing it, but they got a problem with RuPaul doing it.
Oh, I can explain that down.
So, let me say what I said the other day, and then I want you to explain it. So, we were talking the other day, and I was like, well, why is it that people, like, got a problem with Tyler Perry, but they don't have a problem with Eddie Murphy? And I was like, maybe it's because Tyler Perry is very authentic with it. Like, we all know our grandma, our auntie, or neighbor, or somebody that act like Medea. But when it comes to Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence, they doing all this here, like, they trying to, like, embarrass a black woman or make them the butt of the joke. And I was like, oh. So the difference is that this one half will be like, oh, women ain't shit. And we gon' depict that. I had to circle back to my depict word. Anyway, so what do you think, or give us your take on the whole Eddie Murphy, Martin Lawrence versus RuPaul?
This is something that I've been thinking about and believing for years. I just don't talk about it a whole lot. But I was always like, well, why is RuPaul not okay, but Eddie Murphy is? You know, why is the comedic aspect so okay? You know, the things that are associated with being funny, which is being unattractive. Like, usually the character is wearing unflattering makeup. You know, usually their body type isn't flattering for the time period. You know, there's always something that's just not quite right, or more accurately, there's a lot of things that are clearly wrong.
Yeah, they're older.
You know?
Yes.
But if I had to put it in a nutshell, the reason why the Tyler Perrys and the RuPauls have that pushback is because they do too good of a job. They take what they're doing too seriously, and there's a certain level of respect there that triggers that, oh, he want to be a woman. Yeah. Because if you care, if you show respect, reverence, if you're attractive, oh, he want to be a woman.
He trying to trick me.
Right. And then that just shuts the whole operation down.
Yeah, he trying to get me.
Right. Because with Tyler Perry, he does that Medea character so well. Like you said earlier, we know that character, and that's someone who's been in our lives. It feels like we've met Medea, and if we haven't, we want to.
Right.
So there's this level of a full character that's there. Even though there are certain aspects that definitely stand out than other, that's still a multi-dimensional character. That's a person.
Yeah.
With people like RuPaul, there's that aspect of sexuality there. Usually, when it comes to the comedy queens, they're unattractive. But RuPaul has been beautiful for a long time. And that bothers people because women who are homophobic look at it as competition. Men who are homophobic look at it as a lure that they can't fight against. Yeah. You know, they can't prevent themselves from being aroused because RuPaul is attractive, looks like a woman. They can't stop themselves from being aroused. So what they do is become violent instead. That's how they resist.
Which is crazy. And that's a whole other topic. I think I say this all the time. As it stands right now, men are allowed to be promiscuous and nobody says anything, but they cannot explore their sexuality. And then it's the opposite for women.
I've never heard it said like that before, and you're so right. Oh my God.
It's the opposite. Women are allowed to explore their sexuality and try all kinds of things without being labeled as anything. But we do not have the luxury of being promiscuous. So I just feel like if everybody could be promiscuous and everybody could explore their sexuality with no issues, this would be a lot less violent world, I think. And we can stick a pin in that for like another episode. But I just wanted to throw
Trans
that out
women
there.
murders.
Ooh. Hallelujah. Yes, sure about that. Yes.
You know, I wanted to bring something else up into this.
Mm-hmm.
The hotepery of it all. Like, I'm sure you've seen across the internet, especially Instagram or in like YouTube comments where they're like, why is it that a man got to put on a dress to make it in Hollywood? Is this some sort of Illuminati humiliation ritual so that they'd be able to make it far into their career?
Or they trying to demasculinate the black
God,
community.
the feminization of the black man. And I'm like, we're actually hyper masculine to the point that our children are looked at as adults in the court system. So
Okay.
let's add a little bit more like Splenda into that gas tank. maybe to help. Maybe we actually are a little too bitter.
Right.
Because I remember when I was in college, here's another thing. It's something about us becoming adults. When our generation was transitioning into becoming adults, there were lots of social changes happening that didn't look big at the time, but they were a lot more pervasive. Like, they were subtle, but they were pervasive. Like, for instance, I remember, and this is before Wiz Khalifa, so black guys wasn't dyeing their hair yet. That was still gay. So, and facial piercings were too. I remember when white boys, especially ones in fraternities, they would wear shorts that were above their knee.
Yeah.
And it would be perfectly fine for them to do that. But if you were black and you wore shorts that were cut off above your knee, oh, that's gay.
You gay.
It's gay.
And the white boys, they have the shorts and then a little sweater tied right here.
Very
and,
Scooby-Doo.
With the slicked down hair. Nobody said nothing.
And it's because there ain't nothing wrong with it.
Exactly. Exactly.
But you know, since black men gotta be so hard and so
Yes.
tough and rough and bumpy and ugly, you know.
And you know what? Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. What were you gonna say?
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I just want to like make sure I'm very clear as to like why I am opposed to men doing this impersonation of women. It's very unflattering because you do have those people, speaking of hotepery, you have those people that are like, I don't like this, and I'm like, oh my god, I don't like it either. And they're like, yeah, all these niggas is gay and they emasculating the black community. They trying to take the black man out of the black community, and I'm like, no.
We are not alike. I thought we were.
Right, I thought we were here. We are not.
Ooh, I really want to get into this because this will add like a twist to this conversation. So earlier I built in like how, man, like it was gay to dye your hair, you know, it was gay to wear shorts above your knee, you know, all that type of stuff. Can you imagine what a release it must be to be one of those guys that subscribes to all of those rigid rules and standards, to be the most womanist woman that they can conjure up. They get to have fun. They get to play with colors. They get to have hair.
You know
Oh my God.
I didn't even think about that. Oh, y'all wanted a twist, eh?
Like it must feel so good to them to
Right.
finally be able to let that out. And it could be another reason why it comes out so forcefully.
You know what? I never even thought about that. Like, usually, whenever, because I'm like, I wonder if these people do interviews talking about, like, their experience. I think usually whenever I see those interviews, I just keep scrolling because I don't want to hear it.
I've seen bits and pieces, and what I get is that, well, that's a character, and I'm really a man, and that ain't really me. Yes, it is. Let me play the character. It is you. It is.
Like, but it is you. Like, and it's like, I don't know. I do very much get that from their interviews. They're like, hold on, let me make the distinction. That ain't me. That's a character. I'm like, okay. But it's like a character you chose.
Right.
Like, you could have done anybody.
And we see her more than we see you. Like, come on now.
Okay, and then they do that too, where they'll do their skits and she'll be talking to her man and her man will be him, all like shaved, lined up, all looking good. Meanwhile, you got her this raggedy ass, busted ass wig. You ain't trim your beard or nothing. All you do is put on some lipstick.
Because if they do, they'll be crossing that line. They'll be taking it too seriously, and then it becomes gay because it's no longer a joke. Oh, that must be how he really want to be because he putting effort into it. Right. That nigga gay. I'm trying to tell you. I think it's because our men are too masculine that things like this happen because they need to create a space where they can let that energy out. Because hell, you can't even wear certain colors. Right. Are you kidding me? We're not in California in the 90s.
I ain't gonna say what I was gonna say because they ain't finna come get me. Okay. But yeah, it's just very much like, it's so infuriating. There's so many layers to it.
Oh yeah, Trident ain't got nothing on this.
This is not the first time I heard you say that, but it is hilarious.
It's their first time.
Facts. Facts or facts, America.
Facts are facts. Facts are facts.
Anyway. But yeah, no, it's just very, it's infuriating. And I'm glad I'm talking to you about this because I feel like there's a level of understanding that I would not have if I were talking to like a straight black man,
or even like a gay black one that super identifies with being masculine or heteronormative.
Oh yeah, master mass, bro. But yeah.
Because they'll cling on to it harder than the straight guys because they feel they got something to prove.
Yeah, that is very much true. What? You know what? I was about to go into a whole other...
Call me back for next time.
Season finale. And come back. But yeah, I'm trying to make sure that I've covered all the bases here. I really do want to get, the audience's input. Obviously, like I want to hear their thoughts on this because there are some people who think or who are like watching this and they're like, you doing a lot because it ain't even that serious to be looking into like them imitating us. It's just funny. I think that's another problem that I have. It's never funny.
By the way, who were you just acting like just then?
I was acting like the aforementioned black women who support these people. Who can, and like you said, maybe they can relate and maybe I just can't relate. But I feel like, because I had this thought the other day about PC culture with the whole Sharon Osbourne thing that's going on. Have you seen that?
I still have. I feel like I need to watch it because it's getting so serious. I didn't think it was going to get this serious. So I'm going to have to check out the source clip and make a decision on my own.
Look at the material.
Right.
So let me just give you a little background. I know you probably still want to look at it for yourself. But a little background. Basically, you saw the whole Meghan Markle and Prince Harry interview, and they was like airing out the royal family. They were like, before my child was born, they were asking what his skin tone was going to be, like how dark he was going to be, like all this racial shit. And so Piers Morgan, who I guess he's a journalist in Britain, and he was on his show and they were talking about it, and he was like, I don't believe nothing she says because she can't be trusted. Who said it then? Tell us who said it, blah, 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 blah. And he was like, he don't believe nothing she says, but him and her have a history. He tells it that Piers and Meghan went on a date. And like they left left. He was like, he thought it went well. You know, it was a good date. And then she left, and he was like, he found out later on she left to go meet Prince Harry, and they started dating like from that day on. And he's like, and I never heard back from her. I was like, damn.
It's like it would be human to feel away because she upgraded on you quick. But then at the same time, it's like, how can you not understand?
Right. Like,
you know, like, how can
surely
you
you're
not?
not mad. Also, I think I saw something on Twitter last week. I don't know how accurate this is, but they were like, Piers Morgan he's been married for 10 years. But Harry and Meghan have only known each other for like 5 years. Mm-hmm. So this date would have had to happen the day that they met. And like, baby Piers, baby, what was you doing there in the first place? And then not you mad, you married, sir. I'm going to have to look into the factual nature of that. But yeah, anyway. So he was getting checked on his show by one of his coworkers like, you know, you sit up here and talk shit about this woman all the time. And to my knowledge, she hasn't said anything about you, like, ever since she, like, cut you off. So, like, you just sitting up here going off on her. And so he couldn't take it. He got mad. Walked off.
He couldn't take it.
He couldn't. He walked off the set and he quit the show. And he was like, fuck all this. Like, he quit the show. So that was like a story. That was another story. And so then him and Sharon Osbourne are apparently friends. And so Sharon Osbourne had tweeted something to the effect of like, he's my friend and I support him and blah, 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 blah. She said she was just saying she supports his freedom of speech, not like the racism or whatever. And so she came into her show, which is The Talk, like the next day, and Cheryl Underwood, like they were talking about it, and Cheryl asked her about it, like, do you think it's kind of coming off that you're supporting your friend who is racist? And she just lost her shit. She was like, how dare you sit here and accuse me? I'm 69 years old. How dare you accuse me of being a racist? And then she looked Cheryl Underwood dead in her face and was like, and don't you try to cry, Cheryl. If anyone should be crying, it should be me.
I've been asking you during the break. Right. I am asking you again. And don't try and cry, because if anyone should be crying, it should be me.
And baby, honey.
This fully embodied, fully realized. I could have sworn your hair was red for a second there. Wow.
My eyebrows is fucked up. I drag her. Okay. But yeah, Cheryl Underwood was being very, 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 very calm throughout the whole interaction.
She had to be, because she would have been an angry black bitch.
Exactly.
She would have been a baboon on the loose.
An angry black woman.
You're right.
But I said all of that to say that I feel like there's this, everybody's like, I hate cancel culture. And I hate that everything got to be so PC nowadays because everybody's so sensitive these days. And it's like, I'm like, what? I don't know. The way I feel about it is, I feel like some people are using cancel culture as a way to be an ain't shit person, right? They'll be like, oh my God, I hate cancel culture. It is so ridiculous. Like, you can't say anything these days because everyone's so sensitive. Like, I'm getting canceled. All I did was say that black people are niggers. And it's like, back in the day, you could totally say that.
Yeah, and it's your freedom of speech to say that.
Right,
yeah.
But now everything's so sensitive and he said, like, it was totally fine to say that back in the day. I'm like, what? What? Like, I feel like some people use cancel culture, like they'll try to speak against cancel culture and make you seem sensitive, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm I'm just like, if you really think about it, people get canceled for serious shit. Like, nobody's like, oh, that bitch wore purple, she is canceled. Like, no. Nobody's like that. I haven't seen anything where somebody got canceled over something that was like extremely ridiculous, you know? Mm-hmm. But I'm just saying, like, my opinion on this whole black men acting like black women thing, I don't want it to get seen as like, oh, she just sensitive. Like, no, there are underlying issues. And one more point that I want to make. I feel like, speaking of cancel culture and things that were okay back in the day, I feel like making fun of black women or embarrassing black women or making them the butt of your joke is never going to get on the cancel wave, if that makes sense.
Oh, that's too much content that would be lost, girl. Like, we're trying to solve unemployment during the pandemic.
Like, you trying to add to it. It's like, that's one thing I've never heard people say. They're like, man, we used to be able to make fun of black women back in the day, and now everybody else sensitive, and we can't make fun of them no more.
Well, what I find interesting is that when I think about it, at least as long as I can think back and little bits and pieces I've seen in history, that really wasn't even a thing.
Yeah.
It's more of a thing now than it's ever been before.
You mean like black women being made fun of?
Yeah.
Wasn't a thing?
Maybe I need to talk to just older people who've lived through different times and just see. But I haven't seen very many examples of that.
You know what? When I think like far back, like because you know everything is rooted in slavery when it comes to black people. So when I think back to those times, I'm like, well, I mean, not by black people. Anyway, if you talk about specifically by black people. But, like, non-black people definitely were, you know, embarrassing us and using us as the butt of the joke back then. But they were doing it to black men, too. It wasn't exclusive to black women.
Looks like we got some homework.
Dang! The earliest occurrence I can think of would be, honestly,
Shanae?
yeah, Martin and
Wanda.
And what's the other one I just said? Eddie Murphy. That's as far back as I can remember, because there were characters like Chris Tucker played a character that was kind of feminine. I think Wesley Snipes played a character.
Tu Wong Fu. Yeah. But that wasn't even like a mockery. Like, he was actually playing a gay man that was a drag queen. But you know what? Having said all that we've said, I still have to draw a line, because everyone that we mentioned when it comes to like the Shanaes, the Wandas, the Big Mamas, you know, that is funny to me. that is so funny to me. And I'm like, is it just because it happened earlier in my life? Is it the level of production compared to a person who's able to do it in front of a phone in the comfort of their own home? And being a black woman has been reduced to smearing on lipstick and wearing a bad wig, you know? Yes. Like, there was more of a craft to it. There would be a prosthesis.
Storyline.
Yeah,
they had character development.
But now it's just been distilled to a wig, lipstick, maybe some nails. Maybe. Yeah.
I will say, I can remember not liking Shanae.
Well, I don't like Shanae as a person.
As a child.
But I mean, think
like
she's
the
funny.
Like, watching the character. I can remember being a kid and being like, But I was like that to the show Martin in general.
Really? Ooh, you're going to get canceled.
Sorry.
Oh.
Like, somebody asked me the other day, they were like, do you prefer Martin or Fresh Prince? I was like, Fresh Prince, duh. And they're like, why? I was like, because I could relate to that more than I can relate to Martin. And then I think I didn't like the show Martin, mostly because of the way the women on the show kind of got treated. Like, you got Shanae, she like the ghetto girl that's always trying to fight women. Like, now, when she would go off on a man, I'd be like, yeah, Shanae, yeah. But that was rare. She would be like going off on all them, and then the man would come by and be like, hey, you know, and I'm like, But also, even Pam, Martin was always going after Pam.
And she was so pretty.
Yes.
But not for the 90s,
Pam looked
bitch.
way better than Gina. I always thought that. And she could sing better than her. I always thought that. But the thing is, I could see if Martin was going after her and like they was just creating that dynamic of them two like not liking each other. But it was like nobody had her back on that show.
Not even her boyfriend some of the time.
Right. Her boyfriends wouldn't even be like, hey, you ain't finna talk to her like that. You know what I'm saying? She would always be like, yeah, like getting into it with Martin. But the boyfriend is just like not say nothing.
And you know, this is something else that's just coming up for me. Mm-hmm. Have you noticed how like with the Shanaes, with the Wandas, they play conventionally unattractive characters, but like even if they tried, they couldn't be an attractive woman. Mm-hmm. And I wonder like how that plays into all of it, because I'm just now noticing that like most of them that go over the top to play that caricature of a woman that's unattractive, it's like even if they tried, they couldn't be on RuPaul's Drag Race.
Right.
They couldn't.
Like Martin could never. And then they be like, again, Martin, he would like play the main character. Shame. Where are my fans? It's hold on. I'm getting. Just gonna edit that out. Like I know how to edit. Anyway. But yeah, what was I saying?
They're usually forced into being ugly. Yeah.
And then like these same men turn around and play like the heartthrob lead of the show or the TV or the movie, and I'm like, you're not a cute man or a woman. So
I'm sorry. I know we're coming to a close, but I just have to bring this up. Mm-hmm. Do you remember when Kevin Hart, it was before he blew up, do you remember when he was that character with albinism and he was in Epic Movie? He was supposed to be one of them folks from, I want to say like the Da Vinci Code or something. But they gave him them blue eye contacts and that blonde wig and a white skin.
I vaguely remember this.
Look it up. Look it up. Look it up. I mean, like, speaking of drag, man, the transformation.
Child, I vaguely remember that.
It was so ridiculous. But you know, I love like quirkiness. I love like stuff that just ain't quite right. And that is up there. Like that, I'll put that in the same box as when, I can't think of his name right now, but do you remember that Michael Jackson biopic? Man. Yeah.
Yes, I do remember that.
Oh my God, I would put that in the same box.
You know what's crazy? I never actually even watched that, but I know it.
You don't have to. Like if you just Google it, and that's enough.
One last point that I want to make about this is, well, 2 points. I was watching a video earlier today, and the girl, she was basically like, black women, or embarrassing black women is so normal, so common, so normalized that that people get offended that we're offended by this.
Right.
Think about that. Like, if I say, you know, this caricature that you've created of me is inaccurate, stereotypical, disrespectful, and it makes me the butt of your joke, so it's hurtful, then they'd be like, hurtful? Hurt? You hurt? Don't cry, because if anybody should be crying, it should be me.
And don't try and cry, because if anyone should be crying, it should be me.
I need to watch this. Or should I not? It would probably be better if I just remember it the way that you present it.
No, you gotta watch it. You got
I want to really get into it, so I'd rather wait until after we're done recording. I want to wait until after.
Okay. If I can figure out a way to edit this, I'll edit it. But yeah, point is, so like, what does that say? That if I say I'm offended by something, and that's like an underlying theme for pretty much all the topics that I've picked. Mm-hmm. It's like, if a woman says, this bothers me, this is annoying, can you not do this? It's rarely a black woman. It's rarely like, oh, okay, y'all, chill out. You know, it's never that. It's always like, y'all bitches sensitive, and proceed with whatever they were doing. And I'm just like, Malcolm X was talking about y'all. He said, the black woman is the most disrespected.
I just saw that clip again today. Mm-hmm.
It's a sign. Okay, and the last point that I wanted to make was that these girls that they're imitating, these ghetto girls, they're like imitating, and they making them out to be like these negative. It's always a negative connotation to it, right? But like, going back to what we were talking about earlier, they're like really nice people who are just products of their surroundings sometimes.
You're right, and I want to add to that, like, because even in a sense, I'm wrong for some of the stuff that I said, because in a sense, isn't that caricature? Oh, I promise I'm not drunk. Isn't that caricature just of a person, of a woman, a black woman that's being assertive and setting boundaries, making very clear limits, making her expectations known?
Yes.
You know, isn't that essentially what it is?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, there is a class aspect that goes into it as well, but I would like to mention that when it comes to a lot of women that we perceive as ghetto and over the top, what they're really good at is clear communication, setting boundaries, managing expectations. They're things that people gotta go to life coaches for. Right. They're really good at that stuff, and that's worth looking into.
And people don't like when black women say no, child. They're like, how dare you? You at the bottom of the totem pole. You gonna do whatever the fuck I say. Actually, no, I'm not. But also, those are the same women that they like support these brands. You know what I'm saying? Like Fashion Nova. They like the face of Fashion Nova. They get all their ideas and all their trends and all of that from these women. And it's ghetto when they do it. It's ghetto until it's profitable. then you know, it's a trend. Right. Then it's something that, you know, the Kardashians have inspired. They started it. Yeah. It's very much ghetto until proven profitable. That's my thoughts on that. Anywho, I do declare, I think we have covered a wide range of subjects here. And I kind of want to hear from the audience. You know, I want to hear from my audience of 3 that are tuned into this. What are y'all's thoughts? What are your opinions? What are some subjects that you want to hear in the future? Let me know. Also, one thing about me, I am that person who decided to start a podcast and also get off of social media at the same time. And my podcast don't have a name, but you know what, my business. Anyway, so I would like to hear from you. You can message Sam. You can reach out to Sam. But the best way for me to see your thoughts would be to leave a comment on YouTube or wherever I upload this video at. Because I want to hear your thoughts, hear what you think, hear some subjects that you want to hear. Also, in the future, I'm going to be doing some segments once I have some people to hear from. One of the segments is going to be, okay, but where they at? Oh. And the way that segment works is I want to, because I feel like as I'm talking to my guests, I'm going to hear a phrase that is somewhat like, well, everybody's not like that. Or I know some men that's not like that. Or I know some women that's not like that. Okay, but where they at, though? So that's the part where I want, listeners to write in and tell me their experience with, some of the subjects that we've talked about. And tell me, just brag about yourself, really. Just be like, yeah, you up here talking about how men ain't shit and how none of us got our shit together. Okay, well, I am 6'4", I'm a chemical engineer, and I am single because women are, I want to hear it all. You know what I'm saying? I want to hear, because there are so many people out there that I feel are slighted. Mm-hmm. They're really, really wonderful human beings, but they don't get out a lot, or they get looked over, or, blah, 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 blah. So.
Is it because they're below 6 feet? Asking for you.
Sit down. Yes. Yes, it is. No, I'm just like.
No, she's not.
In my case, I ain't gonna lie. Yes, that's one of my preferences. I'm that girl. Okay. I'm that girl that's like, okay, but how tall are you? Anyway, so that's one of the segments that I want to do. And then another segment I want to do is, what's the question you've always wanted to ask a woman? And I will be playing the part of the woman. And
sounds like a stretch,
I mean, I had to go method for this one. This is padding.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, it's seamless.
Yes, honey. Anyway. But yeah, I want to do, what's the question you always wanted to ask a woman? Because I feel like,
man, why y'all so disrespectful? Why y'all so inconsistent?
I'm like, ooh. Elaborate.
Be prepared for that.
Okay, I very much, that is one part of this podcast. I really want it to be unbiased.
Yeah, it's not going to be questions. It's going to be accusations.
I'm like, I said a question? Not a grievance? So, take two. But yeah, so I'm gonna try my best to be unbiased. I feel like the vibe with you is just gonna be different because we're best friends. But when talking to others who are not my best friends, I vow to be as unbiased as I can be, because I am here to learn and share and hopefully educate. So, yeah. That's the point of that question, and that is the point of this unnamed podcast. Alright, so I think that's a wrap. Did you want to provide any further contact information? You don't have to give them your
Social or
social
anything
media
like that.
or your website.
Social security card.
If you want to,
number.
Get some. Just social. It's tax season, they'll take it and run. But yeah, how can they reach you, Sam?
Oh my goodness. You can reach me on Instagram. As for right now, is Sam_listens, as in with my ears. And you can also go to my website, myspiritualbff.com. It's all about making spirituality normal and accessible. And I also have YouTube videos that's connected to my website, so check it out. It's a beautiful website, and the videos are so good. So go on ahead.
Go on now. Go on. Also, I just want to point out, I've been saying I hate when black men just make a mockery of us as black women. And this whole podcast, I just been like, well, who you think you?
But you know what? It wasn't one note. It wasn't one
That
note.
is very true. I'm a fully realized human being.
Right.
Also, I'm a black woman. And I'm not doing it to embarrass anybody. I'm not doing it to make money. So, it's fine if I do
Just
it.
living.
Right, I'm just being me. I'm not imitating anybody. But anyway, this has been the first episode of...
Is it hell? Is it called shade?
Shade.
That's what I'm starting to wonder.
I call shade. we can brainstorm names after this. But this has been the first episode of my unnamed podcast.
What would y'all call it based off of what y'all
Right.
think?
Yeah, leave some comments. What you think it should be called? Only thing I have so far is women lie, men lie. That's probably already taken. Unbiased. That's probably also already taken.
Oh, definitely.
Definitely. So I want something that's like, you know, very millennial. You know.
Well, make sure whatever you name it has skinny jeans on the side part. Make sure it knows what Hogwarts house is in.
Hood feminism. That is the actual name of a book. Hood feminist or hood feminism or something.
I thought that was
like
called womanism.
Oh. You getting too deep for them. They ain't ready for that. Alright guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Please share this with as many people as you can, just not my mama. Or anybody in my family.
Specifically shares to them.
Don't share it to them until I'm making money off of it. Then I can explain. Anyway. Send this to like 2 or 3 people that you think would be interested in it and that you think might want to hear the other topics that I have cooked up. So share it, please. Share, because like I said, I am not currently on social media, so I am not able to share it myself. Woo! Anyway, thank you guys. Love you. Mwah, 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 mwah.